For many foreigners, bustling China is symbolized by two cities, Beijing and Shanghai. One is a political center and the other is a financial center. Since the reform and opening up of China, Shanghai has been a window to catch a glimpse of China, attracting talent from all over the world. It's called a magic city by the Chinese to describe Shanghai's sophistication. People from around the world converge in the magic city to work, live, marry, have children, and put down roots. They become the new Shanghainese from different ethnic groups. According to statistics, there were about 460,000 foreigners from 47 countries living in Shanghai before the pandemic. However, after Shanghai underwent an irrational lockdown, many foreigners left. The once prosperous Shanghai is no longer in its glory.
The street of foreigners is now, as you can see, deserted. It's a pity. It has lost its former glory. This is the Shanghai Foreigner Street. It's quiet with no people. There's no people. To be honest, when walking on the streets in the past 2 days, do you have this feeling that the number of foreigners is a lot less? I've been living here. I walk outside often. Before, no matter whether it was in the neighborhood or on the street, I met people from different countries, and there were a lot of them, especially during meal times or certain moments. Now, there's still some, but not as many as before. This is how I feel right now. Yesterday, my father came to me and said, "Hey, have you noticed that there are fewer foreigners in this place?" When he said that, I had a reaction. Yes, it's true, except I didn't realize it before because it has been happening quietly. Do you think it impacts us? Directly or indirectly, more or less, it does. Let's take the rental market as an example. Let's say before many foreigners lived in Fuxing Middle Road, Sinan Road, or Huaihai Road, etc. And suddenly, all the apartments in these places are empty and cannot be rented out. Then comes fierce competition. No one will rent them, and landlords wouldn't leave them vacant, right? For example, the rent used to be 25,000, and now I'm willing to take 20,000. If there are no takers, I'm okay with 15,000 and then 10,000. People who used to pay 10,000 would then move to places like Huaihai Road for the same amount of money, so the rent starts to drop. For example, when foreign capital leaves, many of the personnel are laid off. What do? They will go and compete for jobs like takeout delivery, driving online taxis, and so on. It's definitely not a good thing, but it's helpless because now it has already come to this point.
Foreigners are gone. No one is renting the empty apartments. When the economy is down, rents are sure to drop. The rental market of Shanghai's luxury properties is experiencing a heavy blow. The rental market for luxury real estate in Shanghai has been affected a lot. Many foreigners have left and many flats are empty. I talked to a secondary landlord today. He is under a lot of pressure right now, with a net loss of more than 100,000 yuan a month. Since the tenants have left, he still has to pay rent to the owner. A flat costs 20,000 to 30,000 yuan. If he has a few vacant units, he will have a net loss of more than 100,000 yuan. So, he is under a lot of pressure, and he has asked me to help him find tenants. After lifting the lockdown, a batch of flats became vacant, and there is no way for the demand to catch up. You can't ask foreigners to come back after they leave, and they won't come back. Then there is no way to fill the demand domestically, so it will be tough to rent these units. The fact that foreigners have fled Shanghai and the foreigners' street is deserted reveals a frightening fact. That is, too many foreign executives working for multinational corporations have left China. This means that multinational corporations are accelerating their withdrawal from China or downsizing their companies. Judging from the video, it's the rental and real estate market in Shanghai that's affected, but what it really affects is the economic development of Shanghai and even the entire country. Recently, an article titled, "Such a Shanghai Makes Us All Sad" has been circulating on the Chinese web. It pointed out that many stores in Shanghai's busy neighborhoods were closed. The depressed situation is like a snapshot of a failing family. It has struck a chord with many people, especially Shanghainese. The article has since been deleted. The article begins by saying, "I know it's hard to hear, but I still want to say it. Seeing Shanghai the way it's now makes me sad." The author visited Shanghai with a friend from out of town and witnessed the current state of Shanghai Hongqiao Station, Nanjing Pedestrian Street, and Shanghai Railway Station. Each of these places has saddened him. He said he chose 3 places that were representative of Shanghai. The first is the Shanghai Railway Station. There are many storefronts of small and medium-sized proprietors. He learned previously from an online video that almost all stores in the underground passageways of the station had closed. He suspected that it was a rumor. So this time, when he had to drop off his friend, he chose to go to the Shanghai Railway Station so he could check out what was happening. It turned out, after confirming with his own eyes, that the rumors were true. The stores selling stationery, clothing, phone cards, and cell phone accessories were all closed. Behind the rolled-down iron doors, how many sad stories of small business owners are there, he asked. The author only took pictures. Here is a video of Shanghai Railway Station filmed by another individual, confirming the same story.
We are
here at the Shanghai Railway Station. It can be said to be the center of Shanghai and the one that has the best business. But let's take a look again. There have been a lot of stores over here, but they seem to have mostly gone out of business. For example, we can see the milk shed. It has more than 200 stores in Shanghai. Ahead, there were more stores closed, such as digital stores, those selling electronic products and clothes. When we look over this row, at least 10 stores are closed. When we look at that row, almost 10 are closed too. Looking over here, some are out of business. Over here still, there are a lot of closures as well. Many people aren't doing well work-wise in Shanghai this year. Last year, some people said that their business was still okay during the epidemic, but this year there was no business. The second is Hongqiao Station. The author of the article said that when he walked out of Hongqiao Station, it was no longer the same station he used to know. He exclaimed, "When I arrived at Hongqiao Station, I realized that Shanghai had really run out of money." Inside the station, stores on both sides of the passageway are either closed or being renovated. Stores have metal locks on their doors, and there is no more of the bustling atmosphere they used to have. However, the lobby is crowded and hot. The Hongqiao Station has economized to the point where even the air conditioning isn't running at full capacity. Hongqiao Station is basically filled with medium-sized stores. Their owners are businessmen with certain financial power. Not only are the stores at Hongqiao Station closed, but so are the specialty stores at Pudong International Airport, which are usually run by businessmen with financial strength too. This is Shanghai Pudong Airport. It's after the security check. After entering the premises and on the way to the boarding gate, all the specialty stores along the way are closed. That is, they can't continue to operate. Look, Tommy was here. Its counter is gone now. This is a commercial area at the terminal. Only this one store is open. All the others are closed. Now, moving along, the sides are boarded up. Only the liquor and tobacco store is open. The third place is Nanjing Pedestrian Street. It's the most prosperous place in Shanghai, where large corporations and tycoons invest, and every inch of land here is like gold. The author of the article came to Nanjing Pedestrian Street, walking on the busiest street in Shanghai. What he saw was that at the entrance of the landmark plaza, it was deserted. It's said to be undergoing upgrading and renovation. The top floors are open, but not many people go there. He wanted to go to the restaurant on the 6th floor for dinner, but found that the escalator leading to the 2nd floor was blocked. The escalator above the 4th floor was also closed. People had to step on the elevator to go up. Doesn't the plaza have money to run the elevator, he questioned? This is the current situation of the well-known store Metersbonwe on Nanjing Street. The door is closed, the iron shelf is bare, a few large characters that haven't been erased completely are still visible roughly, and the wires of the entrance headlights are draping in the air. Metersbonwe is one of the most recognized apparel brands in China. Its market capitalization once exceeded $5.6 billion US. There is virtually no one in China who doesn't know this brand, especially those born after the 1980s. They are deeply impressed by this brand. At its peak, it had a total of more than 5,000 chain stores. In 2019, it started a wave of store closures. Data shows that in the 4 years from 2019 to 2022, Metersbonwe closed more than 2,000 offline stores. The sudden epidemic accelerated its fall. When the CCP announced the end of the epidemic and the end of the city lockdown, many businesses, just like Metersbonwe, didn't survive. This was the shock Shanghai residents felt when Metersbonwe closed on Nanjing Street in 2022. This is the hero of our time. Metersbonwe went bankrupt, right? The hero of our time. A legend in its own right. Look, the Comfort Fort on the opposite side has also closed. They are all old shops. The era of Metersbonwe is over. This is its flagship store on Nanjing East Road in Shanghai, and it's closed. It's over. In such a big shopping mall, I counted, and there were no more than 5 people, including me. I walked in the mall for more than 10 minutes. There are about 150 stores here. I really don't understand what's going on with the manufacturing industry now. Nowadays, these 3 places in Shanghai all look depressed and show signs of recession. So the author of the article felt very sad and felt that Shanghai had taken a hard fall. He said he didn't know when Shanghai would be able to rise up again. Shanghai is one of the most westernized cities in China, and it owes its development to 3 factors. One is its seaport position. In 1842, during the Qing dynasty, a treaty was signed with the UK to open up 5 Chinese ports for commerce. Shanghai was one of the 5 ports, and among them, Shanghai benefited the most from the deal. Another reason was that Shanghai and the entire lower Yangtze River Delta region was the most developed in China. The light industry had been developed there since the Ming dynasty, which was over 500 years ago. It was one of the first regions in China to breed capitalism and the most economically developed region to have access to the sea. Apart from domestic factors, there is a third factor, that is the concession or territory lease to foreigners in Shanghai. The Shanghai Concession, from its establishment in November 1845 to its end on July 30th, 1943, lasted for nearly a century. The foreign concessions in Shanghai were the earliest to be established, existed for the longest period, had the largest area, the largest administration, and the most fully utilized for colonial purposes. In 1945, the national government of the Republic of China formally reclaimed the last 2 concessions in Shanghai, the British concession and the French concession, after its victory in the war against Japan, marking the end of the history where Shanghai was forced to lease its land to foreign nations. The British and American concessions shared Nanjing Street, which is why Nanjing Street has always been so busy. It was under the governance of both Britain and the US, beyond the control of the then Qing government. The concession territory had its own laws. Many of the shrewdest businessmen or the most enterprising businessmen came to the concession to develop their business as it was protected by the rule of law. Under these conditions, Shanghai went into a period of growth. Today, in Shanghai, small business owners and big businesses alike are closing their doors, adjusting, and fleeing. They have suffered 3 years from the pandemic, and now they see no hope in sight. Previously, they had hoped that the removal of the zero-COVID policy might lead to a rebound, but after a few months, the volume of business was so low that it was difficult to break even. They could only choose to close their stores and end their business. Shanghai's current economic problems aren't a matter of the economic cycle, which is usually global and common to all, but we haven't seen such a drastic downturn in other countries. The biggest problem in Shanghai is the city-wide lockdown. As an international metropolis, once foreigners realize that the lockdown has caused such serious losses, many people have decided to leave, and a lot of capital has gone with them. With the relocation of the industrial chain, many domestic small to medium enterprises have gone bankrupt, and it's tough to revitalize them after that. The Chinese government is broke, so are Chinese banks. In the past 30 years, the government and enterprises use loans to revitalize the economy, but it's difficult to do so in the current environment. The deeper reason is that investor confidence is lost due to the extreme measures that Shanghai experienced in the last 3 years. They are man-made policies and not part of an economic cycle. If it were due to an economic cycle, the foreign industry and overseas investors might still have faith because if the economy can slip to a low, it means it will come back up given time. Yet, uncertainty resulting from subjective policies and measures by the CCP means no one dares to take chances and invest in the city again. Some of the enterprises in Shanghai haven't gone bankrupt, but it's unlikely for them to take the risk to further invest in China. On July 24, 2023, the Financial Times quoted people familiar with the matter as saying that the 3 top U.S. management consulting firms, Bain, McKinsey, and Boston Consulting Group, had all pushed back the start dates of their new Chinese staff because they didn't have enough China business to go around. Bain has told its new Chinese hires that they may not start until 2025 at the latest, and McKinsey now has about half of its staff without client-paid projects to work on. In May, the CCP's National Security Department said they were investigating whether the consulting industry jeopardized national security. Earlier, Chinese officials raided Bain's Shanghai office and Cap Vision. 3 senior consultants from these firms said that cross-border trading activity used to be a driver of their businesses, but the decline in foreign interest in Chinese assets and the Chinese economy's turning inward has led to a decline in the consulting business. Shanghai is one of the most economically active places in China. Such an industrial city takes many years of accumulation. Once its economy declines, it will be challenging to recover. Even during the first major war between the Republic of China and Japan in 1937 and the subsequent Japanese invasion, Shanghai hasn't been this bad. In other words, Shanghai hasn't seen such a recession even during wartime. It seems the man-made factor can bring more harm than any natural disaster or even war.